So today we're going to be doing a reading on the future of the news media in the US. I don't know about anywhere else, but I'm just going to speak about here in the US. There's been a recent thing where Vox is looking for a buyer because they're selling their sales. BuzzFeed shut down. We have Fox News who was recently sued by Dominion. Sorry, poll voting things, poll voting. Why am I struggling with that? Poll voting machines because of falsehoods they were saying, and now it's saying that they are reporting some of the lowest views in history now. CNN has been struggling for a minute with viewership, hence why they had trying to stir up the pot with the whole Donald Trump feature or town hall or whatever that they had on their channel. What are some other organizations? You've heard of organizations like New York Times cutting staff. You have things with a lot of small local newspapers that are cutting staff or are going out of print now since the whole pandemic. There was another big one. I think it was Vox, BuzzFeed, and someone else. It was another news organization. If I remember, I'll put it in here. But they either got bought out, sold, or they went under recently. So that was a whole thing. And so it's just interesting to see what is going to be the future of the news outlet, the news media in America now that it is, I mean, for years it's already been trending to be out of favor. But when you start to have even the older generations not watching the main news channels like MSNBC, what is that, Fox, you don't have them watching stuff like CNN, etc. I think it's time to start ringing the alarm because what's going to fill that void? What's going to be the new thing coming in? So, we already knew newspapers were dying as it is because with all the digital that's been coming in and then the cost increase for staffing and printing and etc. So yeah. So we already know there's a lot of things like, I guess you could say, alternative news outlets. You have small ones even here on YouTube that does stuff, but I don't think they have like a watch because it's kind of hard to convert that. They don't have like a viewership like Fox News was at its peak. You know what I'm saying? So if it's one that you can think of, let me know. But I can't think of any. So yeah, we're gonna get into this and see what is gonna be the future landscape of American news outlets. Sorry, that was a lot of cards I flipped over. Okay, y'all two wanted to come out for sure. Oop, squabbles. Squabbles. It's slowly dying. It's trying to stay alive, but it's slowly dying. They got out of balance here. Somebody is trying to see if the finances is going to pay off. I think people are looking to see if they should reinvest in the news outlet landscape. Oh, okay, I got a fifth card. Tower in reverse. So I think it's going to be a minute before it all comes collapsing down. But we also have the Ace of Cups. This to me reads like an investor is going to come through and change things up. Is it all on screen? Yeah. So I think there's gonna be, and I feel like it's gonna be more so like the Jeff Bezos or the Elon Musk's or the Bill Gates of the world is gonna come in and kind of like buy up and snap up these organizations. I don't think the news landscape is gonna die completely as the way I'm thinking of it, like, oh, there won't be news media outlets. Like, there will no longer be like a Fox or a CNN or MSNBC anymore. I think it's just going to morph and change. I don't know if it's going to be something where it's more online. They're going to transfer a lot of the stuff that they do on what they call it on, basically on TV, and they're going to translate it over into the web space, like the internet space, if that makes sense. Like I could see it being something where it's like, and this is what I have in mind, like I could see it where like Fox News and Twitter becomes one big company, and they'll have like, of course, all of the main stuff that Fox News puts out there, it will be at the top of the feed. It'll be factual and stuff like that. Everyone could comment on it. They'll have around the clock news, like the 24-hour news cycle that we still freaking have today, even though we really don't need it. But then they'll still have like their partners and stuff like, or their individual reporters who also write little articles and things on there as well. Or it'll be some, it'll still be web based, but it'll be kind of like that multi-platform that's going on, but they're all under one parent company or conglomerate, if that makes sense. We do have the Four of Cups here in reverse. People are just not wanting to watch it. I think people are, yeah, just trustful of what we get on TV. Is it all, is it all fake? Is it really true? Is it really worth it? I think they're going to try to change things over to where they're going to start making the public it's going to be turning the public into their quote unquote broadcasters, their personalities, their news reporters. Like I could see it being a thing of where, how we have these street interviews now just blowing up over the place, and you just like, I can't walk 2 steps without somebody running up to me with a microphone about their small platform asking me stupid questions or something like that. I can see that being a thing where, again, Fox and Twitter are one company, and they hire at Susie 013 to go out here and report on something on campus because they have a blue check. So we want you to report on this and that at your school. We know you go there, so just tell us what's going on. And that person kind of delivering the messaging and, giving it more of a more credibility, just because, or more trustworthiness, I should say, because Susie 0123 is, a typical everyday person like me. They're going to start turning TV personalities, talking heads, I don't know what they want to call them, talking heads, into like your everyday Joe. Your everyday Joe is going to be your local news reporter on Twitter. I can see that being the case. Okay, that was a lot here. Hold on, guys. It's hard trying to grab cards with the nails. Yep, radical potential. Somebody does see its potential here. Somebody knows the power of media. So again, it makes me think that it's not going to change, but it's just, they're trying to figure out how to make it work. Like I would not, oh my God, I would not be surprised if like Vice was bought by Facebook or something like BuzzFeed, because they did start off as like your, a web-based news program. I could see them approaching somebody like, I don't know if any of you watch this guy, but I know I do. Philip DeFranco show. He does like little snippets of your everyday news, kind of like these bite-sized, everyday, informational cycles. And he does it like once a day or twice a day, I think now, whatever the case may be. But just kind of like giving you bite-sized news of what's going on, not just in our backyard, but also around the world. And I can see them, approaching someone like him or approaching him, period, and having him sign to something like, yeah, he'll be just signed under YouTube and make way more money, and he'll have like reporters and stuff under him, and he's like a reputable news source to go to. Like face not Facebook, YouTube would have him at the top of like your, For You page or your Discover page or things you should watch. And it's because he's a reputable source on this platform on YouTube. And then you'll have like on Twitter, you'll have, again, going to your Susie0123 who goes to some local university and they're reporting about all this big stuff that's going on there and how the students are reacting and blah, blah, blah. But they also report on what's going on in the local government there because she's a trusted face. I can see something like TikTok. I think they kind of already have something like that anyway, but like TikTok having their big reputable news reporters who is your everyday Joe. And then you have Nourishing Roots. Again, I don't think we're going to see it go away altogether. You have Uplifting Vision underneath. I don't think we're going to see the news outlets go away completely as we think. I think they're just going to change and evolve to where it's going to be even, I kind of want to say it's going to be even harder to discern exactly who's telling the truth or not, because, well, maybe not. It'll probably still remain the same. It's still now based on who's funding who, you're going to get a different perspective on a story. If say you're some local startup company who's all about integrity and you're reporting on some oil company that's trying to drill a pipeline through, I don't know, Arizona or something, you'll probably get closer to the truth with them of, let me not be biased, you'll get more of like the grassroots side of things and why they're doing it and why they're defending it, versus if you were someone who is actually being paid by that oil company who's trying to put that pipeline through Arizona, where they're telling you like it's going to bring jobs and we're going to keep on top of it. It's not going to be a mess. This is land nobody has been using. You'll get a totally different perspective. Like, I think it'll still be the same thing based on which platform you're on. Like, if you're on YouTube, you're probably going to get more of a center perspective. If you're on something like Twitter, you're probably going to get more of like a right-leaning perspective. If you're on something like Facebook, you'll get more of a left-leaning perspective because of the reporters and stuff like that that comes on there. So I think it all just depends. Third house, yep. Third house, every time I see third house, that definitely deals with like social media, the world view, the world stage, how things are seen. You also have conjunction, empowerment. So again, it's going to be some changes here. Yep, enhances, saturates, overrides, overwhelms, concentrates, allies with. I can see a lot of news companies joining forces with a lot of our social media companies. Virgo wanted to flip over, so I'm just going to read that. It says methodical, aligned, ritualistic, efficient, insightful, healthy, dutiful, solitary, curatorial, critical, nervous, perfectionist. And then we also have Saturn in the reverse. Ooh, Mama Saturn. Saturn reads discipline, structure, time, responsibility, test, ambition, difficulty, restraint, grounding, practicality, self-control, realism, tradition, container, bones, maturity, gravity, scaffolding. So right now news is in a loose state. Oh, that's what wanted to come out? Yep, renewal, inner resources, death, rebirth, subversion, suspicion, obsession, intensity, reckoning, taboos, clearing, extremes, cycles. And then we also have, again, the Virgo underneath. So, what I will say, I feel like there is a warning I should issue after I say this disclaimer. All of this is for entertainment purposes only. My statements are alleged hearsay based on rumor, not fact. This is all for entertainment. It's all for play. But I will say the warning. I think that I should entertainingly say is that I think we should be very careful about, or we should be very watchful on which organizations are being snapped up by who and who they're joining with, who's the partnerships with. I think we're going to, again, this is going into a lot of consolidating. Yes, they're making it seem like it's just because, people didn't have the money or was, swimming in debt or overspending on certain things. Like a lot of these news organizations, like Vice, for example, they're going to say that that's it, but then they're out here on the market looking to be purchased. I think we should be very careful and very watchful on who are snapping up these platforms, these media platforms, these news platforms. Because again, I would not be surprised if somebody like the Bill Gates of the world, the Elon Musk's of the world, the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, etc., were to snap up some of these organizations. And again, if something like Facebook was to buy Vice in order to, especially since they've had all this issue with because I think of Facebook and, oh no, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter were definitely still have this, I think, in effect now of just kind of like they'll put the little labels underneath the videos like, oh, this video was made off of hearsay. You might want to go back and check the facts because they basing it off of this. They go look at this. They put those disclaimers on there so the platforms don't be found responsible for you in interpreting misinformation or believing misinformation, especially during that whole COVID and the voter fraud thing. they I would not be surprised if somebody like Facebook were to get Vice and was to say, hey, this is how we're going to make sure that our news is credible, because we are having a previous organization that a lot of people trusted and approved of, and now we're going to use them to make sure that any of the news that we put out here now will be factual because it's coming through actual reporters, it's coming through an actual news organization, it's coming through a reputable news source, and we're just taking them and kind of folding them into our platform. Nothing is really going to change. However, Facebook, you're going to be pushing things through Vice about like how Facebook is trustworthy and how metaverse is going to be the whole new thing, and how you can see the Vice newsroom in the metaverse, and you could combat news about your organization and stuff being bad, because the Twitter Fox conglomerate partnership is saying this about Facebook, but Vice and Facebook is saying this about Twitter. And then you have YouTube and, I don't know, BuzzFeed, for example. If they were to revitalize that, if they bought that or something, you have YouTube and BuzzFeed saying, well, here's where YouTube and Twitter are both wrong and this is where they're right. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that would be a thing of, each platform having their own reputable news source to also to combat the bad press and also to give themselves good press. It's still going to be biased news, but in a different way. And again, I can see them employing certain figures or respected, trusted figures, influencers on those platforms to kind of be the new face of the news landscape. And that way they wouldn't really have to pay money because those would just kind of like change out over time. Because if you constantly have people who are looking to get famous or put their faces out there, or to make a name for themselves, you kind of never run out of employees. So again, I would not be surprised if that's the way news organizations go. Mark my words. But yes, that's where I'm going to wrap this up at. Tell me what you think news organizations, what's going to be the way of the news organizations. Do you think they're going to go the way of the dodo? Who knows? Let's see. Only time can tell. With that, I thank you all for watching this video. Please like if you like this video. If you didn't, leave a thumbs down. Comment your theory underneath this video here. Subscribe for more videos like this, and I will see you all on the next one.